So, this is my final Cas reflection, and Cas is finally over and it's coming to an end in my high school life. I'm sorry for that sound. In my whole high school life and my career as an IB student. So, my first thing, I want to first talk about how it was beginning Cas and what it initially meant. Initially, when I was introduced to the concept of Cas, I thought that we just had to do things in order to check them out of lists and in order to be able to, graduate with the full IB diploma. But through my progression and my experiences doing Cas, I was able to understand that it's really important to do action, to do creativity, to be involved in service. And there's many reasons as to why I believe this. But if there's one main holistic idea and theme that I have been able to take away from my experience in Cas, it is the idea that one is supposed to give back to the community and help the community that they live in. But I really think that in my personal case, Cas has helped me grow personally in the sense that I really have developed a creative side to myself and of myself that I wasn't aware that I actually had. And because of Cas is that I initially began to get involved in public speaking or in, doing presentations in front of a large crowd, which is something that I didn't know I was so passionate for and that I had the skills for that I now have developed. So now in Cas, one of my first experiences was actually being involved in student government. I was involved in student government, and this is where I first began to develop my speaking skills. But through Cas, I was able to further develop my skills, and I'm going to be explaining how I have done this throughout my different Cas experiences. So I'm going to go kind of down the list of my Cas experiences and which ones I believe were the most meaningful to me throughout my Cas journey. I want to begin with one experience that made me be exposed to a scenario that I normally would not have been exposed to, and that was going to Camp Hope. I went to Camp Hope last year in 2017, and what I did is that I was able to take care of a woman that suffered from a type of Down syndrome. And this has really been one of the top Cas experiences for me because I was able to understand how these people and their families deal with the type of illness that the individual had. But I was also able to understand that there's no reason to be scared or restricted to have a connection and develop a friendship with individuals that suffer from Down syndrome, because they're individuals that can be full of joy and of life. And yes, they do have certain needs that need to be met, but we are people and we need to help others to achieve their basic needs and to have the most fun that they can have and develop a relationship with them. So here I can be able to say that this demonstrates engagements with an issue of global significance. It's really important to understand that Down syndrome is such a common thing around the world, and that there's so many individuals who suffer from a type of illness or syndrome that we as a society and as individuals tend to discriminate. Nonetheless, through this experience, I really was able to understand the importance of opening up our hearts and opening up our ability in our minds to be able to understand that there is going to be individuals that are different from us. And that's actually the beauty of the world, the beauty of diversity, instead of, us going to discrimination. So I think that's my favorite Cas experience that I have done throughout my Cas journey. My 2-year journey, that's the experience that really sticks out the most to me. And I really like it. I think it's of real importance. Now I'm going to be talking a little bit about my initiative project. My initiative project was introduced to me by my Cas coordinator. She gave me the idea of, there's this organization which is called Pencils of Promise, and it is an NGO that works to provide education, hygiene in schools such as Ghana, Laos, and Guatemala. And when I heard about this, I was really interested in the idea of them using education and hygiene and as a tool in order to help countries that are in the lowest socioeconomic sectors of development to be able to develop further. The idea of using education to help children understand the importance of hygiene, which is so crucial and we take it for granted. So I got involved in this initiative project with 2 other girls. One was in 12th grade at the time, and the other one was in my grade at the time. And I began this project. We initially did a lot of pizza sales just to, obtain a basic amount of funds that we can use and give back to Pencils of Promise. But afterwards, we began to use more of a creativity element to fundraising. And I really was able to understand how I want to study international development. I want to be involved in working with NGOs. And I was really grateful, and now I understand more than ever how my initiative project, how working for Pencils of Promise made me understand the importance of raising funds for a nonprofit and really trying to make funds not about the money, but about the meaning, where your money is going. So we initially, as I said, sold lots of pizzas, but we were able to notice that people don't understand where their money is going with just selling pizzas. So therefore, we developed more creative ways of advertisement. What we did is that we created a box, and in the box, we divided it in one half with one idea and one half the other. Sometimes it could be an idea about education, like if you support education, donate $1. And like lots of people would put $1 on one side of the box. So therefore, it really made me understand how we can use creativity to sell people the idea of giving back to the community, of obtaining funds that are needed for the resources of hygiene and education in the different regions that Pencils of Promise could give back to. One of the biggest challenges of my initiative project, I think, would have to be getting people to know about your project. I did my project in the first year, so in 11th grade, and there was many people who were doing the same project, not the same project, but were also doing their initiative project. Therefore, it's not that you compete with their projects, but you have to make your project stand out, and you have to make people understand the importance of your project. Because CAS is great, but sometimes we tend to take CAS and just make it be about, okay, let's put this in a portfolio, let's make funds, that's it. So I think that sometimes the idea and the main theme of your project is diluted because so many people are trying to get funds as well. So it's about selling the cookies, selling the pizza, but it's not about selling the message. So therefore, I was really able to understand the importance of selling the message. We created a Facebook page as well as an Instagram that got many followers from our school and from other schools in order for us to be able to share about our story and about the message of Pencils of Promise, how we got involved. We would put lots of stories and motivations as well as advertise our campaign online, which was great to get the message through as to why we're even selling the pizza on the first place and why we're doing what we're doing. So that's the basic preview of my initiative project. So then another thing before I go to how I was able to shape my creativity through CAS. I want to really explain that through CAS I was able to find a passion that I didn't know I had, and that was the idea of the environment. I became very attached to the environment and to really understanding why things happen the way they do and why trash in the country is managed the way it is. Actually, my global politics presentation is about the trash management in the country and how it's managed by both the public and the private sector, as well as my biology was focused on trash management in the country as well. And therefore, it all began because of CAS. Both of my IAs were motivated because through CAS, I was able to have an exposure to the realities of Panama's trash management. What happened is that we did a beach cleanup, and it was organized by Ms. Bernal, which is one of our CAS coordinators. And I went to the location, which is near the ocean, and I've never seen so much trash in my life. But it's not just trash of plastics or things that one would associate with human consumption, but it was trash such as big refrigerators or parts of ovens, of cars, of stoves. And it really shocked me to see that all of these pieces were just thrown away in front of the ocean, and that there were so many, fish that were living, that the levels of eutrophication would increase dramatically due to our inability to control how trash is managed in the country. And until now, I'm still shocked of how this happens. But what I did is that initially I did a trash a pickup, so like a beach cleanup with the school. But then I decided to organize one on my own. And this is actually a very interesting story because nobody in my school could actually go that day. There was a lot of assignments due, and what happened is that I said, okay, but this is the best day to do it because there's too much trash and we need to do it this day before we go all out to break, but everybody was too busy. And I ended up going with every single person that I could find from a different school, from Balboa, which is the American school in Panama, like our friend's school. tends to be Balboa. And what we did is that a lot of people from there came with me and we picked up the trash, which was actually great because they got some service experience. I got some service experience, but we also made some new friends with, having the common goal of coming together with the green team of Balboa to go pick up trash and make a change as a collaboration between two different schools, which I really liked. So now if I can begin by talking about my creativity and how it has developed because of Cas. I first want to begin by saying that because of Cas, I love photography. I have always loved photography. But my big love for photography began because I saw it as an opportunity to use it as a creative element for Cas. So what I did is that I went to New York, and that's when I began taking pictures of people that I found inspiring and of places that I found inspiring and beautiful. But mostly about people or locations. And what happened is that in New York, I was able to understand that this goes beyond my Cas experience for creativity. So I ended up creating an Instagram account for all of my pictures, and I got lots of followers in order to share my pictures with the world. And until now, I'm up to date with that picture, and without Instagram account, sorry. And each time I travel, I try to update the account. So I went to Colombia recently. I took many pictures that show the culture of the country, and I portray them in my Instagram. And lots of people follow it and they like it because I don't normally take pictures of, things that we see every day, like, a cup of coffee, but I take pictures of things that are able to represent the culture of the place that I am at. And I love taking pictures for that reason because they're able to illustrate how a certain group of people may be perceived by society, but how they are actually seen in the picture. And one of my favorite pictures is actually one that I took in France. And it's a picture of a woman that, we normally would say that she is like a rebellious woman because of what she's wearing. But she was so nice. I talked to her in the train that we were at, in the metro. Another thing that I actually learned about my experience with Cas has been my ability to be able to talk with people before I take pictures, of being a little bit more on the social scheme and understanding that my picture has a story behind it. And I normally try to take pictures I normally try to talk with the individuals before I take a picture of them, and then I show that in my Instagram, and I know the story about them. We all have different stories to share and to tell, but these individuals, they're telling a story through a picture. For example, this is one of my favorite pictures here. And this is 3 different types of ethnicities that are together. And I talked to them, and they told me that they are friends. And no matter what they are portrayed as, or no matter what they're seen as, they're friends, and they are valuing their friendship beyond of their ethnicities or their beliefs. And I found that to be able to be portrayed in one picture, but I knew more than the person who viewed the picture would ever know. But it was so personal to me that I really loved it.